Austin, I think he's like a golden retriever.
Bruh.
Like a little, like...
What?
You know what I mean? I had a golden retriever growing up. And he was just always just so delighted to see us. Hello, my loves. Thank you so much for joining us again. Welcome back to our channel. I'm your girl, Intisar Eleanor. This is my beautiful husband, Joseph. And we are back, and we are talking all things Married at First Sight and whatever else pops into our brain. Okay? Yeah. So, let's just jump on in. This was episode 8, season 17, episode 8, Divorce, Prayers, and Spider Scares. Yeah, this was really a fascinating episode, and it was really, to me, very layered, and it's really showing how people are trying desperately to produce themselves not understanding that they're on a reality show, and we see it almost, and I don't know if you guys see it as a theme, it's almost like an undercurrent in all of their marriages.
Yes. Oh, I think so. I would agree. And we see it a lot. I feel like every season we see a lot more of this where people are
getting more
on camera producing.
Yes, and it's getting more, what's the word I want to use? Like, not prevalent, but more obvious. Like, it's
for sure.
It's getting, like, so blatantly obvious. So, let's start this off with, I do not like Claire. And I don't like the character Claire is presenting on the show. Let me say that. I probably would meet Claire and think she's a wonderful human. But I think the person that she's producing herself to be is rigid. And I don't even think all women have to be soft. But I do think you have to be open in a certain regard.
Yeah.
And she just, nothing about her just seems... the character she presents as likable. I don't know. Is it me?
But what specifically did she do that brought you to this conclusion?
I think she talks too much. And I think that she talks too much from a space of, like, she knows what's going to work versus just having a lived experience, like living through it. Like, oh, well, it'll never work if you are constantly holding things in. Because when me and Joe heard it differently, because Joe heard it the way Claire heard it. But I heard it differently because I feel the same way.
Oh, wait, so go back.
Let's go back.
Yeah.
Let me set it up then. When he was saying, they were talking about living together, and he said his style is not to necessarily... say everything that he usually waits. What he said is that he waits and to see how bad it gets. And I think there's something to that. Some people are going to hear that and feel like, no, it's avoidant, right? But I think what he's saying is, because I don't want you to nag me, I'm not going to nag you. Like, everything don't require a response. And then we see the scene over where he's literally like, somebody left dishes in the sink. Now I'm going to be overly vocal because that's what you told me to do. We got to stop giving people these lists of things and just let it happen.
Yeah, so I see, I completely agree. I think there's two ways of thinking on this, and I think a lot of it depends on your perception of the conversation.
And the people.
But I also think that it is very easy to have these misses with people who you don't know and don't communicate regularly with or properly with.
1,000%.
I understand where he's coming from after Zar broke it down. And I told her in a moment, you communicated that way better than he did. The way she said it, if he would have said it that way, and I don't remember verbatim what you said, but if you would have said it that way, I would have perceived it the way that you initially perceived it. The way he said it made it to me very, especially because I don't know him and neither do she. So the way he said it came across as
literal.
I just wait until everything boils up and then I communicate. And so if you do perceive it that way, I can understand you being like, no, that sounds terrible, which is what she said. But I think a lot of times in conversations like this, it's just people missing each other, because I think after talking to you about it in a moment, I think maybe that's how he meant it. And I think that just when you don't know people, you don't give them the benefit of the doubt, one.
Yes.
And you don't, a lot of times, they haven't figured out their communication styles with each other.
Yes.
And I think they are also still, specifically Cameron, not comfortable communicating.
And I think, so what I said to Joe was that's what, Joe literally does exactly what Cameron says. There was a time where Joe would nitpick with me about every little thing. You didn't get the lotion from there. Why don't you put it back? When you come in the house, put your shoes up to where they need to be, because they really shouldn't be sitting here. They need to be, like, he used to do it all the time. And then he realized, I am a fairy. I cannot be burdened with these rules. And he just was like, you know what? I just have to treat my fairy the way she needs to be treated. And if that means I got to take these shoes upstairs,
but that's not what I realized. And this is what I think Cameron was coming from. I realized in marriage, you have to pick your battles.
Right.
And so for me...
And that's what I'm saying.
So for me, every communication or lack thereof is a choice that has been deliberated in the battle picking realm.
Right.
Every time, it's not like one thing I just let go. It's like,
in
today,
the spectrum of life,
what's happening today,
right.
this is not something that I can do. Like, this is not something that, you know what I mean?
And I think that's what Cameron was getting at.
Yeah, I think maybe. I think he doesn't communicate well with her, and so we still don't know.
But I also
think
communication, I can see that as a married woman. And this is my perspective as a woman who is married to somebody. I can say anything to Joe. Good, bad, or indifferent, right? I choose to speak to my husband a certain way. I choose to speak about things a certain way and bring certain things up a certain way. But in truth, I feel like I could say whatever I want to, right? But when I listen to other people speak, I always listen from a space of grace. Mm-hmm. So when he said that, I never even went to it boiling over, because I receive people with grace, right? So I'm thinking, oh, he just doesn't want it to be a thing where you feel naggy or he feels naggy to you. Like, I want to give you room to live and be yourself. And if it's something that is such a point of contention for me, then I'll talk about it. Mm-hmm. But it don't got to be every time, because that's where y'all get screwed too. Y'all think every time y'all got an issue, it has to be deliberated. And the truth is, feelings are not facts. So in a moment, you could feel a certain way, you can have certain thoughts, right? But sometimes it requires you to be like, is this something that I'm going to do? Like, is this a big thing, or is this something that I can kind of reconcile?
Yeah, I agree with that. But like you said, I think the 99.9% of the ability to do that comes from grace. I think we underestimate that a lot. That's something that me and her talked about in therapy, and I think that was a big turning point. At least for me, it was a big turning point. I think that, one, like I said, most people, grace is not their first mind.
Right.
And especially if you don't know somebody, especially amongst these people who a lot of them are leading from their past, in situations that have nothing to do with each other, right? So if you're clear, like for me, actually specifically in this situation, for me, hearing what Cameron said was almost not a trigger, but it took me back to a place, because that's something that we dealt with. Yeah. Where Zar would perseverate on things, and then she wouldn't say anything until it was in an argument, and then you're like, yeah, what the hell? Where did that come from? But that's so my first space. So when he said what he said, I'm thinking, oh, that sounds terrible, right? But if you're Claire, you don't know. Maybe Claire's ex-boyfriend was a piss poor communicator and will just blow up. Right. So it's possible she heard he's going to be Anthony. Right. You know what I'm saying? Even though Anthony, and nothing that happened with Anthony has anything to do with Cameron from a can of paint. Right. So I just think that, one, I like to see more, especially early on in this process, more interaction and conversations with the therapists and the counselors and the
They're
so-called
kind
experts.
of ingratiating them earlier. I feel
No,
like,
they're triaging things.
Oh, they gotta get in there and save some stuff.
Everybody is throwing around the D word and all this other stuff. So they constantly coming as ER workers and trying to fix stuff. When if y'all were proactive and they were having these conversations, sitting down with them, talking to them a lot more before they even left for their honeymoon.
Right.
Like y'all should be having more conversations and stuff like that. Because then everybody gets to the honeymoon. This is their first time in this tight space with this person, and it's bombs going off everywhere. Literally. So Pastor Kyle's in his car, about to go to.
He had to pull over, child.
Trying to fix something that is imploding. Before they even get home. You know what I mean? That's a problem.
That's a problem, and I think my issue with Claire, and I do think this might be why like a lot of therapists go to therapy, right? Because a lot of times I can imagine it being easy for you to want to therapize people who did not ask for it. Does that make sense? And I think that...
Or didn't give you any information.
Or did not give you any information.
Good therapists ask questions before they say anything.
And I also feel like, and y'all tell me what y'all think, the language Claire uses does not feel positive to me. And I think that's why, like, it doesn't feel light. Or it doesn't feel... And not feminine. I'm not even getting there. I'm saying, like, her language... feels jaded.
Yeah.
Her language feels hurt. And it's something, and that's why I think I cannot align with this personality. Not because I have not been jaded in her, I've been both things, but because how could you go into an experience? It almost feels like she wants to tell him what to do and how to do it. And then everything he does, it's like, oh, we're not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm not staying
I think
here.
A lot of times she want to tell him what to do and how to do because she underestimates him just from a personality standpoint. Like, just because she's not used to being around somebody who's quirky or funny or light, she comes across as, she views him as a very unserious person. So I got to tell him how to wash his clothes, and when really he's just from a different culture.
He just lives the way he lives.
You don't understand his humor. You don't know his personality yet. So a lot of times, I see people in the world who are underestimated and overlooked because somebody doesn't match with their personality. So they think they don't know nothing. They don't know how to do anything. I got to lead this conversation. Right. I can lead everything. And I think that's what's happening.
I also don't like I don't want to say I don't like. Yeah, I don't like it. So Cameron has this, this is an example of things that bothers me about Claire. Cameron has this example, fermented yeast something that he eats, right? But it's something that reminds him of home. Now, she does not have to like this. So let me say that out loud. I don't like grits, right? She does not have to like this. But as somebody who make oxtails and curry, if Joe was to say it was disgusting or something, I would be offended.
Right. Yes. I would too.
This is something I'm sharing with you. I would be offended.
But that's the warm and soft part that you was talking about. There's a way to be a soft landing even when you're disagreeing or even when you guys, don't see eye to eye on whatever it is. And Claire seems like she does not have that.
Right. And that's why I think, like, girl, go on ahead and find you a Ellen and leave us alone. And leave us alone. And I mean that respectfully, not disrespectfully. I love the girls and the gays. And she just seemed like she wants to be someone's equal in all regard. I'm saying this wrong. Y'all know what I'm saying. Like, she wants to be the leader in a space where they're both novice.
Because I think that comes from a place of her just not respecting him.
Yes.
Because of his personality. He hasn't done it. He hasn't given her a legitimate reason to think that she has to dominate him like this. But I think she just doesn't respect him. And
even when they were talking to Dr. Pepper and he said, like, yeah, I'm open to, like, more affection and I want to hold her hand. I want to do this, but I want to make sure she feels comfortable. And she was like, yeah, like, we can hold hands. Like, it doesn't feel bad. And she did express that, like, from her previous relationship, she hasn't been very affectionate. So I absolutely get that. And I don't want anybody to feel like they should be forced to be affectionate with people they don't want to be affectionate with. However, we talking about holding hands.
Yeah.
It's like you have you ever dated a man ever? Like, I just don't, like, sometimes I be wanting to go with people with with their quirks and stuff, but it'd be like, come on, have you dated a man ever?
But also, you signed up to get married, so you obviously, it should be obvious, you should have come into this experience thinking that you're going to have to be proactive in all of these areas, these many areas that you typically would take very slow or be. You can't. Well, I slow walk everything. You married a stranger,
right?
You don't slow walk that much. That's just. But
who
my
you telling
way.
the lies to? But that's the way. That's the production I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Let me produce this person, so now y'all have a higher thought of me.
Yes.
That's what I mean when I say everybody's producing on this show.
Yeah.
It is exhausting. Like, just be yourself. And in your effort to be who you think we want you to be, we ain't feeling you.
Right.
Right. You know what I mean? And high key, you doing a disservice to the person that you was paired with.
Yeah.
Because then he's going to get it. What's going to happen is he's going to get a completely different human after this process.
Oh, he is.
Or when the cameras are not, you know what I mean?
And that's when we always get these little clips of them saying, well, this is what happened when the cameras wasn't on.
Exactly. And it's getting increasingly more clear that y'all want to be the smartest, the most independent, I'm bored.
Yeah.
Bored.
It's clear y'all watch the show.
It's so clear.
And y'all are
We get it. You're a fan.
Yeah, you're working.
I am too.
You're working your persona and your brand while the cameras are rolling. And the problem is, we watch the show too. We've seen y'all attempt to do this season after season. So you have to know that this is not going over anybody's head.
But that's why Becca and Austin are so refreshing.
Yeah.
Because you just get to see people exist.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He does have things he doesn't want to talk about. He explains why he doesn't want to get too far into it. And I still think he's doing a tinge of producing with that too. But I do feel like it's in an effort to be light. Like, let's be light. And then once we kind of gain that social equity with one another, then we can talk about some hard stuff.
1,000%. It's levels to it. I think everybody's doing it. And I think Becca and Austin are just doing it the least.
Yes.
They just living with each other the most.
Yes. And I feel like, even for Claire to ask Cameron, like, oh, well, can I touch you? Like, is that okay with you?
That was an effort to
everybody.
That was an effort to make him look like he was not giving her the signs that he was open, when we all know he has been. We all know he's been into her. He's been open. And any time that he's felt weird, it's because she's created the environment where he don't know what to do with his hands.
Literally. Let's move on, because she's tired and I'm tired of her. Tired of talking about her. So let's talk about one thing that I think is also an undercurrent. Cameron's not religious at all. And he said that he doesn't feel, this is the last thing I'm going to say because I'm curious about your thoughts. He doesn't feel it's important to raise the child in a religious capacity because he doesn't think that reflects the world that their children will live in. And Claire disagreed. What are your thoughts on it?
I think they are just going to be at an impasse here. You know what I mean? Because they're not just, like Becca and Austin are just respecting each other's religion and how they choose to do things. Where Cameron is saying, like, I don't want it to be involved in anything. Like, it's not like cool, but don't bring that over here at all.
It kind of gave that vibe, right?
Yeah, which I don't know that's going to be a big issue because it doesn't seem like there's a space for compromise or space for, understanding or anything like, or a meeting of the minds there. And so they just got out of that conversation real quick because she was just like, okay, I disagree, but we can move on. And it's like, can y'all move on? There's been nothing.
Because she has no intention of being here past.
Well, I was just about to say,
so
maybe they can move on because they ain't gonna make it to the point where this is gonna be a problem.
Exactly,
they ain't gonna get to this bridge
and
to
that's
cross
exactly how she feels. But yeah, Becca and Austin, they all go and see each other's home. Okay, don't look like Denver got a lot to offer to me.
It don't.
Ain't that terrible?
They don't.
That's how y'all living? Okay. It just was really nice to see them in each other's spaces. Becca and Austin have a conversation with, I believe, Pastor Kyle about religion. Pastor Kyle about religion and being close and intimacy and what that looks like. And what I appreciated that Pastor Kyle did was he asked them had they consummated the marriage. And they said no.
Which I was surprised. Were you not surprised about that? I thought they for sure had.
What her pum pum ain't working.
Oh, well, that's a whole nother.
And I don't know. Didn't she say that? Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. She said the pum pum is broke, which is fine. Which is the perfect time, honestly, for it to be broke.
But I would think then y'all should have a conversation about that because they didn't really talk about.
They're not really talking about nothing.
Yeah, they
if
didn't
we
really.
Keeping it 100.
They didn't really, and in the conversation with Pastor Kyle, they didn't really talk about. They said no, they hadn't, but they didn't really talk about why or nothing.
But they did say they had the desire, which is why I think he respected them and didn't go any further because what he did was say that I only asked this question as a barometer of intimacy. Intimacy. And I think that's really important to give people the why, right? Like, because sometimes we hear it and we just like, how does any of y'all business? We're guilty of that too. And it's like, in truth, we're trying to get an understanding of what this relationship looks like for you guys outside of these cameras.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I think I kind of respect that they haven't consummated their marriage. And I think it's okay. I think 8 weeks is a short amount of time.
Oh, for sure.
I don't think that they even have to in the 8 weeks. Because I think that if they just keep getting deeper and more into it with each other, when they got some privacy, it'll go off.
Yeah, and I don't think that there is no one size fits all. Like, as long as the way I judge these couples is how much are they committed to the process. You don't have to be attracted to the person. It's not realistic to think that you're going to meet somebody you never met before. You didn't pick this person and you're immediately attracted to them. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't really judge anybody for that. I don't think that. I just think, are you trying? You know what I mean? If you get to the end of the 8 weeks and get divorced and you try, I don't think it's nothing that anybody could say about you. Right. You was a part of the process. You try. You talking to the experts. All of this stuff. So I think for Becca and Austin, they seem like they are totally into the process and into each other. And so I don't have a problem with them, not consummating a marriage or doing anything. I just thought that I was just surprised by it.
Well, Becca is Jewish or raised Jewish, and I don't believe she practices as much any longer. And one of her, I guess, what is the word I want to use? Like traumas is that in her experience with people from the Christian faith, they have not been gracious. So she was like really unpacking that with Austin. And I do think I think at the core of it all, if you do have similar values, right? Like, well, I want to be good to my neighbor. I want to, you know what I mean? Like things like that. You can absolutely date somebody who is not.
But I think that's why these interactions with the experts are so important early on. Because all he did was break down to them in a almost childlike manner what's at the core of this religious disagreement, right? At the core is let's uncover what your values are and what their values are. So really, all we are disagreeing on is labels,
right?
What we call this? Do we call this Catholic? Do we call this Christianity? Do we call this Judaism? Like all of, which is true of most people, which we talked about. I think it was last week, ironically. I found was true of most religions. We arguing over labels. We arguing over whose religion and their label will dominate this household. When a lot of times we should be talking more about what are the core values. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Now, if your core it's different if you're at the core of your religion, your core values is, something death to America, then now we can't do it. But if we talk and you saying, well, what's the difference? Like Pastor Kyle was basically trying to get them to say, what's really the difference at the core? And they didn't have it. They was just like, well, we basically. So that's why I think it's important because that's hard to do when you just by yourself on a couch.
Yes.
If you don't have the knowledge to think deeper about it.
And I think in some regards, Becca is looking for a bit of.
She's looking for the shoe to drop.
Yes. Yes. I do think she's looking for a bit of that. And I think that, so she's like holding her breath. And I get it. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's hard because she's really trusting the process, trusting this person that she don't even know.
Right.
Being matched by people she don't even know.
Right.
And I think so. I do think I get where she's coming from, where it's like, all right, man, what's up with the what's up? But I'm glad she's being open to just chilling. I don't know. I really like Becca and Austin. I really like Austin. I think he's like a golden retriever.
Bruh.
Like a little, like...
What?
You know what I mean? I had a golden retriever growing up. He was a German Shepherd golden retriever, Mutt. And he was just always just so delighted to see us. Like, delighted. And that's what he gives me. He gives me excited and happy and just want to be in the moment.
Yeah, he into her, for sure.
I think, yes, very much so. Let's talk about Emily and Brennan. Now, Emily, if I'm being honest, I'm liking the most on this cast.
I am, too.
I'm liking the most. And if I'm also being honest, she alone feels the most authentic to me. Like, but you know what that comes from? She done probably made a fool of herself so many times. She like, what the hell? It ain't gonna be doing? And not even like on a bad thing. I'm not saying that as a dig. I'm saying that sometimes you get to a space where you just like, what's the worst that could happen? You know what I mean? And she just gives this vibe of that. And unfortunately, she was paired with a wet blanket. It's so unfortunate.
I think Emily does just give me that she just is living her life and she just, lives in her truth. Brennan gives me that he wants to be a part of this process, but is now not really into her, but he's trying to produce himself the most.
But you know why I think he's not into her? I think he's not into her because he cannot control her. So, like, he doesn't know what she's going to do moment to moment, and it's giving him anxiety. So now when he's interacting with her in these scenes, he doesn't even give her anything. He'll just be quiet because I don't know what you're going to say or how you're going to do. So maybe if I don't say or do, then nothing's here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see that.
Somebody
brought up a good point about Brennan. It might have been you or somebody in the comments. I can't remember because it was a couple weeks ago about Brennan seemingly being uncomfortable with filming and he gives me that too. Like he said something
to pass the cow, right?
Yeah, he said something to the effect where he actually mentioned filming.
Yeah.
And so I'm taking that into account too. I also think that the thing that the experts thought would be their yin and yang would be so exciting. Oh, she's bubbly and exciting and loud, and he's calm. So he's gonna calm her down, and she's gonna bring the wild side out of him. I think they got that dead wrong. I think he does not like that she's bubbly
at all.
I think that's not his usual, and I think he's detracting because of that. And I think that he's trying to put a good face on for the cameras so people don't think that he is a crappy person.
But he is a crappy person.
And I think that in that effort to do that, he's coming off as even more of a crappy
because omission
person.
Is a lie.
Because every time, we've seen this 1,000 times, these people get up here and they try to produce themselves over a feeling that for most people would just be natural. Oh, I'm not attracted to my spouse or whatever.
Right.
And then y'all make yourselves look worse by trying to, they was talking about something. She's saying, just tell me.
Yes.
Just tell me. And he's like, oh, I'm not going to do that. It was very clear that the rest of that sentence was on camera. I'm not going to do that on camera. And that's what you made yourself look even worse.
But she said, you not saying it.
It's saying it.
It's saying it. Which
it was. Duh.
Like.
Yeah, like.
I couldn't even.
You would have been better off, Brennan, saying something else. I don't know. But saying, I'm not going to do that. That's like you telling me, tell me how you feel about my hair today. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm not going to do that. You thought that wasn't an answer? That's an answer. Oh, I'm not even going to go there. Even the energy was weird. Like,
even the energy, like he disrespected you.
Yeah,
like you're the one acting crazy.
Bruh, it was very weird.
It's very
Y'all
odd.
bad at producing. Don't do it.
Y'all are, this is not your job. This is not your job.
You're not good at it. None of y'all are good at it.
And it's really, really exhausting because this baby is being drug along. Like when they got to the house, she really expressed something that I thought was this was like the best thing I heard anybody say since I've been watching this. She said, listen, we're going to have moments where we're not feeling each other or whatever the case may be. But I think the best thing for us in this relationship is to hunker down here and spend as much time as we can with one another.
And he said, okay, so
I'm going to let you finish, but
we'll be gone for a couple of days and then we'll come back. And I mean, that was his immediate response. Like, yeah, I'm going to pack my stuff and then we're going to go home.
But the truth of the matter is, I probably would have paired Emily with the guy who got left at the altar.
Michael?
Yes. Because he good energy.
He is.
And she's good energy.
Right.
And I probably will pair her with somebody who match her fly. Because the truth of the matter is, me and Joe are different, very different. But when we have a good time the same exact way.
Yeah, and the people give too much to the yin and the yang thing.
Yeah, I agree.
We
get the differences other places.
1,000%. Because we're all human. No one of us is the same. I don't care if you twins, you triplets. Yeah. It doesn't matter. The differences are going to come because it's just natural human behavior. So I've seen the experts do this for the past couple of seasons. These wild ends of the spectrums, like, well, they're doing it with Claire and Cameron. It was the same thing. They talked about it. They talked about it there, and it was like, I think their differences are going to bring them together. And it's like, y'all need to be looking. Y'all need to make this thing plain. Stop trying to get freaky. I said it week 1. I said, stop trying to get freaky with these pairings. Y'all do not have to do that. Make A equal B, and that's it. Like,
and that's it.
That y'all don't have to, because we starting to see that this whole idea of like, let's pull a rabbit out of the hat is not working for y'all, and it hasn't worked for the past like 3-4 seasons.
No, really, and I think it's something to that. It's really kind of like exhausting. Like it's really exhausting. I just feel like Emily is such a better. And not to say one is better than the other. I understand what Brennan is trying to do, so I'm not going to dig too much into him. I understand what he is trying to do. The problem is that you do her a disservice because now she doesn't know who you are. It's always about who you want to represent as,
right.
Which then also centers you and you alone.
Right.
So now I have nothing to do with this process because you're too consumed with you.
Yeah.
And if you're consumed with you and I'm consumed with you, who consumed with me?
Yeah, and it's also making her, you could tell, like, question
herself
because she don't know him. She don't know if it's him or if it's her. And it's like, it's sad to watch because you could tell that she was just a part of the process and she was into him. Like, because it seemed like he was giving her the same energy at first. But then you realize, he was just producing.
He was just producing and then he got tired. If you're saying that you're leaving somebody and you're exhausted, it's not because of that person, it's because of you. You're making a concerted effort not to be yourself. And if you feel like you cannot be yourself in that space, that's the problem. It's not her. She didn't do anything. Like, you know what I mean? You need to really go back and do some fucking excuse my language, and do some self-reflection. Because to say like, I was exhausted when we left, that means you've been faking it this whole time. Nobody has an issue with that. So you've been fake this whole time. This girl got her hair tied up in a mammy tape not to do some stuff you wanted to do. And how could you be around somebody who's such a trooper? Broke her daggone arm, done all these things. But damn, was that not an omen?
What you mean?
She broke her arm and then had to get her weave cut out.
Oh, yeah. Crazy.
Or her wrist. Yo, I don't want nobody saying, it went her arm.
We get it. We get it.
Y'all know what the hell I'm talking about. But yeah, so
but I also thought that was a little bit of a dig at her. Like I also thought I thought that he was trying to say, you exhaust me. Like your whole personality, your whole thing is exhausting. I want to go home and be in quiet. So it didn't matter what they talked about when she said, I think we should stay here. He had made up in his mind, like, I'm getting a break.
But that's what I'm saying. And what you thought you was going to do is try to make us believe that she was the problem, but congratulations, you played yourself. Because you're really the issue here. If you don't know how to be real at your big age, be yourself at your big age in every room that you're in, you're the problem. And then it makes me think, Who is picking these people that didn't know he was faking all this time? Because that means he was faking in the beginning. He didn't just start that. Tired. He's tired because he's been trying to hold this persona up for 7 days, and his needs is weak.
Yeah, because it's but that's why I don't like not having a window into the process and really understanding what goes on when they are picking these couples, other than the few lines that they spit in the specials. Because
then you expect to act like that, but then turn around and want to tell me that you believe in being married forever? Are you crazy?
Yeah. Cause he trying to produce, like he was trying to make it seem like the whole going home thing was a mutual thing that was a broader idea on space and marriage and coming back. He was trying to, and it was just not. It was falling flat because we've all seen this happen before, and it's like this. But that's why I wanted somebody as far as them to even address that, as far as the counselors and them talking to Pensacola. Like, I feel like somebody should have addressed that. I don't never hear nobody say, why are you producing yourself?
Because that's breaking the fourth wall.
But that's your job. Your job is to counsel these couples, and this is a big part of what their issue is. He didn't even want to tell her how he felt about her because the cameras was rolling.
But the truth is,
so we got to get into it.
True. Emily, I'm Team Emily, period. Big period. Let's move on to our last couple. I first want to say, Lifetime, y'all better figure this out. The next season need to be the old people. Because these young people are stressful, child.
Yeah, I agree. Like, we got to stop.
We need a golden
we need some real adults on this, John. Like, I think, but this is what I said in week 1, y'all. I think I had a lot of issues with a lot of these parents picking somebody who'd never been in a relationship before.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Even though I bang with Emily, but yes.
She should be in this. This is stuff on paper that y'all shouldn't be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just think that the proof is in the pudding where these couples is dropping like flies, and we just got home.
We just got home
from the honeymoon,
and y'all down to 3 couples.
That's crazy.
All because y'all let a child come into this process.
Like,
and I want to say this because I've been thinking about this. I think what Lauren said was terrible. Full stop, right? And I was really thinking about this. I have said some terrible things to my husband, okay? And I think we've had to work through so much drudge and residual BS and history and all that stuff. We had to work through it quite a bit, okay? So it's very sad to me because you can tell she's very apologetic. Like, the more I watch it, the more I'm like, this girl really feel bad about this. I think you can be wrong and still want to make it right.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
And I think that that's what she was trying to do. And I myself thought what she said was inappropriate. But, if y'all have heard some of the things I've said to my husband, then who thinks we will be here? Okay?
I think this situation is a lot more nuanced than people are trying to make it, especially at this juncture in their interactions. I think we have seen their conversations go through a gauntlet of BS.
Yes.
And I think that a lot of people are having recency bias, right?
Oh, like what's the most recent issue?
1,000%.
Okay.
Orion being wrong in ways that is not being a part of the process, throwing in the towel, quitting, call it whatever you want, does not absolve Lauren of the wrongs that she did. We saw this woman gaslight this man 1,000 ways to Sunday just a couple weeks. Yo, we just got home from the honeymoon. So this stuff didn't happen that long ago.
A couple weeks ago.
It wasn't even a
day ago.
It wasn't even weeks ago.
Yeah.
Like, so we've seen offenses and the dropping of the ball from both of them.
Yes.
From the time that this thing started. The questions that she asked them, the whole N-word thing started because she asked him, have you ever used the N-word?
Which is weird because people were trying to make a case that he said the N-word. So then her saying something equally is abhorrent. I don't even understand how y'all came to that.
I don't understand how y'all came to that. it's very clear that there's a lack of accountability that's happening here because it's
because she a black woman and we want to protect black women, and I think it's something to that.
And I could see
I want to protect
y'all
her
having
too.
a hard time with accountability. And I think that there was a lot of BS going both ways with them that I really didn't like from the very beginning. I didn't like the line of questioning that was happening then. I felt like from the beginning, I felt like because she wasn't into him, she was going at him in ways that I don't think she would have went at somebody who she was really into. I think that for him, because he really wasn't into her that much, I think it was very easy to be offended one time and be completely done.
So you don't think he was really that into her?
No. And I said that from the beginning. I don't think that I think he was a part of the process. I think he was one of those people who said, I'm gonna see this through. I signed up for this. You know what I mean? We're going to see this through, and he's going to be a part of the process, which he was until somebody called him what he perceived as a huge, huge violation.
Yes.
So I think it's wild that we get to this point and everything is washed away. Everybody is piling on Orion for this past week. Like, again, I'm going to keep it consistent. I'm keeping the same energy. I have, like she just said, I'm a married man, so I've been in positions where I've had to let go of stuff that I thought was violations, right? So I think as my criticism of Orion is simply that. Like, you know what I mean? You are not ready to do this thing if you cannot let go of things that you feel you have been
right.
wrong
Like you
in,
have
right?
to have a short memory.
You have to have a short memory. At the same time, when we said the other week they had the shoe on the other foot, and he called her the N-word and then laughed in her face. I'm standing on that. Because guess what? None of the people who are in the comments tussling with accountability would have anything to say about Lauren. Had the shoe on the other foot, he called her the N-word and then laughed about it.
Yes.
No one in the comments would have anything to say if she said, there's no love in me here. I don't find him attractive anymore. There's no, what do you say? There's no romance. I can't find the gumption to be romantic with this person who called me the N-word and then laughed about it.
Right.
Nobody would have an issue with it. So I think a lot of y'all need to look deep and understand how to keep the same energy, whatever your stance might be. Figure out it and stand on it. Keep it. Y'all, everybody standing on business. Stand on that.
So this is my issue, right? Because I'm one of those people that's kind of like, my needs is a little weak on business because I feel like they a little weak. I ain't gonna lie. I do feel like what she said was wrong, right? But like I said, and I think you're agreeing with this part, like in marriage, and I think Dr. Pia touched on this, which I'm banging with Dr. Pia too, because I'm liking her energy. In marriage, this is going to be a distant vibe. Like you're going to go through so much stuff.
Oh yeah.
If you allow it, right? Like, and not even like if you allow it in a bad way, but if you allow yourself the opportunity to grow with someone, you are going to experience all facets of life, the good, the bad, and the, not so pretty. And I think that's what they were trying to get at. Like, but I do think it minimized his feelings a bit. The reason why I think Orion is getting a lot of pushback is because he's producing. On camera, you don't want to say anything wrong. And then you'll text her and be like, no, Heifer, I want a divorce. Mm-hmm. And that's weird.
Everybody is producing.
That's weird. And I think
the producing makes you look worse.
Yes. So, and I think that's why people are having a hard time with the accountability piece. The problem is that he was unable to reconcile the first issue and another issue had already come about.
But not only that, he was producing then and he wasn't being true to himself. He was never over the hot tub incident. He was never over it. Now, again, keeping the same energy, I don't even have a problem with that. What I have a problem with is that you pump faked and you set up in her face and in front of all of the cameras and say, you know what, you right. Give me a hug. Yep. You made a mistake. We're just going to, and in your soft tone so that you present it like the well-rounded, communicative Orion who was above it when you really wasn't above it. You was pissed and you should have said that you was pissed. And I only think it's weak that you didn't. I only think that it's weak that you really wasn't over this. You thought that her apology was BS when it happened.
Yes.
You didn't say that because you wanted to look above it. You wanted to look over it. And I think that in that effort to do that, you made yourself look worse, because I think that half the people that are criticizing you wouldn't even have the energy to criticize you if you would have kept it consistent from the beginning.
Yes.
I thought that was because that's what made you look worse too, the back and forth.
Yes.
One day you cool, y'all, you passed it. Now y'all at the bar and then you bringing it up again like, oh, I'm over it. Are you over it or are you not over it?
Because we can't keep litigating this.
And that's where you're going to always be wrong in this situation. Like, you have to understand how to handle these things from the onslaught, because a lot of times you're trying to produce yourself, and this happens in life, not even on the show. You're trying to produce yourself can cause other problems, and now the problem that was initially the problem is not even being talked about. And that's what's happening.
We had to go to therapy about that too.
1,000%.
Yeah, we had to go to therapy about that too. So that was like a long months to get through that, because that's a thing. Sometimes you create a problem and then you ain't even get to the problem's problem.
And now you done mucked it up, and now it's playing out in the social media space, where when we were going through it, nobody knew but us and a therapist.
Yes.
But now you're doing it on camera. So now the entire social media realm is not even talking about the fact that she said this word to you and then laughed in your face about it.
Yes.
Now no one's talking about that. They talking about you fumbling the ball and trying to produce yourself for the past 2 episodes.
And including in that regard, because you're swaying me a bit, if I'm being honest. Because I came down here ready to hold my girl down. And honestly, it was only from a space of, she like this, I'm like this.
It's only in a space of gang. That's all it is. Because a lot of y'all is in the comments is loud and wrong.
It's only gang.
But y'all, it's just a very clear gang situation. And I'm listening at y'all like, what?
But I want y'all to know, if you're a girlfriend with me, I'm always defend your right to be wrong. Okay, I'm gonna stand. That's where I'm gonna stand on business. I don't give a damn. She wrong, and she robbed the bank. She needed the money. Y'all shouldn't have had it out. I don't know. I'm going to really hold you down. And that's what I'm trying to do here for Lauren. But I do think, you know what, Joe, like, I do think there's a lot to what you are saying. And because everybody's attention span is so short, that now we're conflating. Like, now this is the issue.
Right.
When the truth is that there's a bigger issue here and a much bigger conversation that needs to be had about race relations. And that's another thing too. I think their idea was, it would probably be harder for somebody to date a black woman than a black woman date somebody else. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
1,000%, yeah.
So I think that they were under the impression, if there was an issue, it wouldn't be from a black woman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then, of course, this man is of indigenous descent. This would be the safest pairing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think that they proved you wrong. First things first. I do think they proved you wrong.
1,000%, because what's also being magically forgotten is a lot of this conflating came from Lauren. Lauren spent 3 episodes trying to make whatever argument they had post the incident a mutual offense.
Yes.
She spent like 2.5 do y'all not remember this?
And I think that's what he's trying to, I was very much hurt by what you did. Now,
this was racial.
Yeah.
And then she spent 2 episodes going, well, I can't believe he didn't forgive me like I forgave him.
Because you brought up that you was humping and sucking.
What are you talking about?
2 months before, and he had paused about that. That equates to you being.
She immediately thought, this is my moment. This is going to be an equal.
And that was her producing.
That was her producing. We on equal footing now. You got to forgive me because I forgave you. And even that was him producing, because he really was not over that. He was never over that situation. He hated it.
But that's also a lack of consideration for the person that you're with. Sometimes, have you ever, not have you ever been in an argument? We don't argue a lot, y'all, honest to God, not anymore, but it was a time. But do you ever feel like you've had an argument with somebody and y'all have moved on, maybe specifically me, and we've moved on from something, and we just know, all right, we got 72 hours. We got to be good for the night. We can't be fighting and arguing in this time.
Right.
I got to be Neil, we got to be, we cool again.
Yes.
Hey, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She didn't even allow for that.
No.
And she didn't allow for it on purpose. Because in her mind, she thought she could do a Jedi mind trick. See, she thinks she's Yoda. Oh, we're going to whisper to each other and we're going to say what we need to say. And some way, somehow, I'm going to change your mind about things. It's like, no, like you have to take full accountability for the things that you do. And I don't think that she did that. I really don't care because I'm holding her down, gang. However, if it's me and my girlfriend on the line, I'm going to be like, then you know you was there. That's wrong. You know what I mean? And you can't, you open this up. But I do also feel like he dragging it.
I think that
but
I think that you feel that way because of his piss poor attempts to produce himself.
Yes.
He was never over this from the very beginning. And then there was added, mess poured in the wound when they had this conversation about her sleeping with somebody an hour before she got on the show. He wasn't with that. So that was just one thing compounded on the other, but he wasn't honest about any of it. He lied to her. I'm over it. Because he got to look evolved and ready. So he lied to her about that. He was not over it. He lied to her about the thing. That's why he's texting her off camera saying, I'm really not over this. Right. That's really, and that's where she has a place to stand. Because on camera, you was over it.
Right.
So that was the piss poor Jedi mind trick from his part. And
that's manipulative too.
And it's super, let's be clear. And it's super manipulative. And like I said, it's insulting to the viewers because we've seen this before. We are not dumb. Like, we know that y'all be doing one thing on camera and then doing another thing off camera.
Yep.
And so a lot of it was just a lot of piss poor producing and back and forth. Like, who gonna have the one up this week?
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it's just, but that's why I said when we was watching them, and was it Dr. Pierre they was talking to?
Dr. Pia.
And she's trying to resolve. I'm like, let this go. Let this go. Let that man go home. This was a mess from week 1. This was a mess. And I told y'all it was going to be a mess, but y'all didn't. Everybody gave me all these excuses. This was a mess from week 1. Let this, y'all lost. Stop trying to salvage. Listen, cash your chips and go home because you only going even more and more in the red. Let these people go home. Neither one of them was really into each other in the beginning, but everybody is an actor.
Yes.
She's so gorgeous. He's so cute. But like, we knew you wasn't into him. Like, let's be for real. Like, that's the truth of the matter. So, and then I said from the beginning, I thought a lot of their conflict was Lauren acting out. It was conflict would just come from anywhere. Yeah. And I'm like telling y'all, like, she not into him.
And eventually you get to the point where I think Lauren reminds him a lot. He said something to Lauren's dad or to somebody about Lauren. Like they were speaking about strong women. And he was just like, I was raised by strong women, but I don't like a lot of confrontation. I don't like a lot, you know what I mean? And I think that she's been the exact opposite of what he might. I think she reminds him a lot of his mother.
But not only that, even that he wasn't honest about until it was too late, which is the boil over thing. Even that he wasn't honest about. Their very first argument, Lauren went from 0 to 100, and it was immediately a trigger for him. It was immediate. You could tell it was immediately a trigger for him. He could not even finish the conversation. I think he ended it by saying, I don't have nothing. Like, I couldn't, like, he couldn't. And I think that even that he wasn't honest about. They talked to the experts and everything after that. When they had the heart to heart, he wasn't honest about that. And then it wasn't until it was too late that he finally said, well, you know what? We have an argument and she turns up for me. Yep. I don't like it.
He said,
this happened like 3 weeks ago.
Exactly. But, I had somebody tell me, you shouldn't say the D word unless that's what you mean. Like, just don't use it. And I think that her doing that almost put the nail in the coffin for them. Like, you know what I mean? The moment you start bringing it up, it really becomes a real thing for the other person as well.
Right.
Because all you've done is laid a seed that's just going to be watered over time.
That the door is open.
Yeah,
and this is a door that, once again, Lauren opened up on their first argument. And now, I thought something happened. No. And Lauren opened up in their first argument, and now Orion is running through the door. But they both been in this space of, like, throwing this word around and everything like that. That's why I'm like, just let
them go. And I agree. It's time. It's funny. your entire assessment of this is what I think, and that's what I was thinking the whole time. I just am going to ride for my girls. Big part. I really am. I just really am. But I do think. Also, one last thing. Let me dig on Claire again. How about when they came downstairs in the beginning of the show? Everybody talking about what they gonna do when they get home, and then she gonna turn around after she spoke to Lauren. Lauren was crying in the corner.
Oh, that was
and they're gonna
whack.
say, "What y'all gonna do?"
I thought that was whack. That really showed her.
That's the type of girl she is, though, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
I would never do you like that. I would never do you like that, sis.
Yeah,
Never.
I thought that was really whack because it was very obvious that if you read the room, it was obviously something wrong with Lauren. One, y'all by your own admission are close. Y'all knew before y'all came down there to film, y'all knew that something was happening with Lauren and Orion.
Come on.
Y'all knew that. Y'all knew for a fact that something was
Lauren,
happening. And then Lauren is standing in front of you to the brink of tears. And we going around and say, oh, what is y'all going to do? That's messy to me. That's messy and that's corny.
Producing.
And that tells me that you've been producing yourself on here. But every now and then the gremlins slip out. And y'all say some dumb stuff on camera, and now we all can see it, like the type of person. Because that really told me what type of person you are.
It really
Claire.
said everything, and that honestly might have been the turning point for me with Claire, because I am a hold you down girl's girl for life. I'm a part of a coven. Anybody who knows that, like, I'm deep with women. So, like, for me, if you don't see somebody in distress, another woman in distress, and you don't feel like I need to lift my sister up versus spewing her business to everybody. I don't give a damn if the producers told you to say it or not. Don't say it. Like, just don't say it. Like, I don't care. And I feel like it was kind of like, but then for Lauren to turn around and say, oh, we having irreconcilable differences. Oh, you wanted a divorce.
Oh, for sure.
Girl, get a life.
For sure. You was ready.
You
You was ready with the verbiage.
But Lauren, that's what I would tell you on the phone. I would not say that to you in front of people though, babe. Because I really do believe corny. But I made a point, sorry baby. I made a point a while back where I said people say things on purpose and pretend like they didn't. Mm-hmm. Like you'll ask a question and then you'll be like, oh, well, I didn't know I was going to get that kind of answer. No, you knew you was going to get an answer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you knew. You saying irreconcilable differences almost gave him the term for why y'all are not going to be moving
1,000%. Yeah, it set the stage for everything that's finna happen post that whole interaction.
So yeah, see you later, alligators. I don't know what to tell you. Bye, Lauren and Orion. I don't want y'all to come back. I don't want to be hearing about it for the next 6 episodes.
Please, y'all.
Unless y'all are willing to say, no, we're going to date each other and we're going to move on and I'm going to see y'all on some dates. I really don't want to hear about this ever again.
Since this is a regular occurrence for y'all lifetime, please hear us out. Whenever y'all lose these couples in week 2, we have to get in the habit of letting them go.
Cut them off.
Who was the one girl we saw time and time again by herself last season? The girl that none of us like. She's another one. She asked for a divorce like soon as they got back. Like she asked for a divorce, and it's the girl with the dog, the mixed girl with the dog. I can't remember her name, but she kept coming back, and we was like, "Why is she back again?" Yeah. She would be at the couples outings. She would be at the girl.
Put her out my brain.
You must have. She would be at the couples outings. She would be at the girls outings. It was like, you are off the show. You asked for a divorce. Go home. Go home. This show is called Married at First Sight. Not, I tried to get married at first sight and then I got divorced, and so I'm still here because I'm just lingering trying to get a stipend. I really don't give a damn about the aftermath. I don't care. I really don't care. But y'all can't think that we care after meeting these people for a week. Y'all can't think that we're invested. To care about, and that's the. Y'all can't think. And that's all. We don't. These are strangers. They are. They still strangers. They married at first sight to us too. Yeah, they still strangers. Like post. I only care about Lauren and Orion because they are on this show. Yep. Once they're no longer on the show, I could give a less what Lauren and Orion are doing in their lives. They're not that interesting of people in their own right. Y'all have to know that too. He said what he said. So yeah, I'm gonna get out of here underneath my synthetical wig with my husband. We got things we need to do, okay? We thank you so much for joining us today. Let us know what your thoughts are, specifically around the production. Yeah. Are these people producing? Is it our imagination? Or are you feeling like, what are y'all doing here? Like, enough is enough. Take your production head. We know Brennan and Orion are executive producers of the show. We need a break. Like,
We need a break. So do us a favor. Comment, like, share, okay? And I guess we'll see you mother jumpers later. Bye.